Good afternoon. My name is Pedro Almeida. I'm the head of IoT solutions and cross-industries solutions for the Mediterranean region in Ericsson, Spain and Portugal being part of the Mediterranean region, of course. I'm Portuguese, by the way. So first of all, thank you to the Executive Forum for this invitation, for us to share a bit our journey on IoT. I was just commenting with Sandra just now. I don't know what to say anymore, because what she addressed is exactly what we're trying to do. That shouldn't come as a surprise as well, because at the end of the day, we are typically suppliers to the kinds of Telefonica, right? And Telefonica is one of the largest customers that we have as well. So it goes hand in hand. I will try to make this brief, not repeat myself on what has been said before, emphasize a bit the key points that we think should be highlighted as well. But I would like to take you through the journey that we went through ourselves rather than just pitching our products and solutions and so on, right? So as to make sure that at least we pass on some insights of our sort of learning journey as well. Before I start, Ericsson has three pillars in its core strategy. One is 5G, the other one being cloud and IoT. And IoT and cloud, apparently, there's a mix that is a bit explosive, according to Jorge and Juan. We saw that a while ago. We want to make it safe as well. So open, because it needs to be open. We just saw that. But it needs to be safe as well. And we can talk about that in a minute. And of course, 5G being the connectivity to this sort of fabric that we see that will run the world economy. So if we start a bit with this one, and most of you will recognize this is Google's vision statement. And what they envision is they want to provide access to the world information through one click. Now, someone talked about the deep web just now. Some argue that 30% of the world's information is available on the internet. The other 17% is a bit hidden, and some is really inaccessible because it resides on companies' data centers and entity data centers, and it's not really accessible. So you cannot index that and catalog that, right? But think about moving forward, which is making a digital representation of the world. How large will that set of data be? It's immense, right? It's huge. I mean, think you can represent anything, and you can go into a degree and extension of representation of that kind of object. That's well, maybe to the infinite. There are lots of parameters that you can choose to extract that information to create a digital twin of a physical object. So IoT is huge. It's true, right? We can say that here in Europe. But just to make a case, our estimates say that during this year alone, we will see an addition of 4 million, around 4 million on average, devices added to the IoT space, in a way, a day. And by 2022, we'll have 18 billion connected devices. We've seen those numbers. It's just a ballpark, but it resonates with what we've seen before. And McKinsey estimates that $11 trillion, that's around 10% of the world's GDP today, will be added as a consequence of IoT, right? And this, of course, has to do with this kind of openness and the platform play that every industry will have a chance to play, right? Now, IoT may mean different things. We estimate that by the end of next year, there will be as many IoT connections as there are personal kind of connections, like the fixed phone or tablet or a smartphone or whatever. And by 2022, that will be 2/3 of the entire devices connected in the world, generating, I don't know how much data. Depends on the number of parameters that each sensor will measure and, of course, report on. So we tackled this journey. So I remember that some 10 years ago, I was part of Ericsson's first analysis on machine-to-machine from a go-to-market standpoint. So we had run some research projects with lots of partners, but that was the first time that we assessed, okay, so from a business standpoint, what does this mean and what sort of implications does it have for us as a company? This was 10 years ago. And since then, we have engaged with leading industrial players from all over the spectrum that you can imagine. So, for instance, ISS, you know the company, Facility Manager. company. They run a number of buildings, and of course they keep our lavatories clean, and they expanded the scope of their services going into building management as well, not only parts of it. The kind of insights that they are generating from the sensors that they have put in place allow them to go up the scale when it comes to the value that they deliver to their customers on planning, building utilization, and so on, for instance. I can talk, well, the home management. So there's a project that we have been running with the Swedish Royal Institute, and essentially it measures the consumption and it feedbacks on various devices. It feedbacks to the utility companies, which is a small, given that it is a small area, it's really under control. So you can really test parameters and changes on assumptions to adjust the supply side of energy to this neighborhood, right? Very different use cases. This a bit more real time than what ISS needs. And if we just want to stretch it a bit further, these are my favorite, my personal favorite kind of use case, or operation use case, industrial ones. Volvo and ourselves set up to create a remote mining excavator use case. So they have the machinery, they set it out in the mine, and the operator is not sitting on the excavator itself, it's sitting, I don't know, 50, 100, 300 kilometers away, and operating the machine, right? So you have a camera, that's an easy one, but you also have the haptic feedback so that you feel really the kind of pressure that the machine is feeling as well. I mean, it's just emulating the sort of reality that the operator is accustomed to. They make decisions on that kind of feedback, right? It's too hard, maybe we should tackle it from the other end. And this needs to be on real time. If they are to operate the machine as they were operating before, this has to be real time. So imagine the amount of data that has to come back, the sort of the business logic behind it, but also the sort of sensors that you have to put into the machine as well to capture the kind of parameters that are really relevant for this particular use case. All of this in real time. And not only that, so this puts a sort of a requirement, it surfaces the requirement on this use case from a connectivity standpoint, but also from a use case standpoint and from what kind of devices do you need to put in place and business logic as well. Also, from a security standpoint, you don't want a machine to be going out there by itself, subject to sort of hacking, as Jorge and Juan depicted, like the chaos coming in. So how to tackle these challenges? And we have found solutions for this, right? Well, this becomes even more critical if you think about remote surgery, right? Another one. Super mission critical, you don't want to mess up with that one. So what I'm saying is that we have engaged with various industries to get as much information as possible, early information as possible from a technology standpoint. So what requirements do we have? What kind of specifications do we put in place from, again, a connectivity standpoint, but also from an IoT and cloud and security standpoint as well, right? And we factor that into our usual work, stuff that we do every day, which is creating technology and making sure that the ecosystem, the standardization bodies that we just discussed a while ago, everyone really understands what we are getting ourselves into and how to solve these issues. We discussed this before. So out of these, we observed that there might be, roughly speaking, 3 different phases, 3 different stages of the IoT development. We are largely on phase 1, to be honest, and that we have the same understanding as you just mentioned, Sandra. So we are largely solving issues, very basic issues today. The sort of the ecosystem is super fragmented. There's a lot of technology uncertainties, but these are getting solved every year. We believe that we will be there mostly on phase 1, mostly for the year to come, and then moving on to the more analytics platform play, if you will, moving forward, which opens up data and allows for us to start to combine data. The ultimate play being, of course, the phase 3, which is a sort of an open ecosystem, a platform play by everyone that is an actor on this market, right? Opening up data, not only for our internal consumption, but for someone else's consumption, so as someone else being able to access our sensors and actuators, and vice versa as well, right? That will sort of demand a kind of trust that is only possible at scale, at least, and we are talking always at scale. So how do we scale this up? Through digital treatment. So again, artificial intelligence and the likes, right? But also making sure that we have the technology that automates the whole processes. So 3 areas that we see on this transformation journey. One, the infrastructure play. And again, we are an infrastructure company above all. I mean, that's the core of our business. We believe that connectivity and the fabric, again, that will operate the world's economy in a way, will come from a single purpose to multi-purpose, meaning, for instance, that data centers have been built traditionally apart from the web scale operators, players, right? Since 5 years, more or less, until to this day. But essentially, they have been built privately. If you need an ERP, you install a SAP implementation with its own server, management team, and so on, so to manage it operationally. If you need a database, you do the same thing. It's not true anymore. So you have already today solutions that enable you to operate the data center as a cloud and use and make better use of the infrastructure that you have. So from single purpose to multi-purpose. Connectivity, pretty much the same thing. And I'll touch more about that in a few minutes. From a technology focus to a business focus. So before data and data analytics, that was maybe the realm of people that were really keen on getting some insights, Excel sheets, and so on. Then lots of tools, lots of stuff out there today, very advanced. It's not on the back office anymore, right? It came for like front and center to boardroom discussions. People want to know what to do with their data. IoT is all about data. So all these discussions are coming much more front and center, and of course the processes to secure that this value is unlocked and captured, this is pretty much on the top of everyone's agenda. And of course, business models from vertical silos. I'm solving my particular problem here. I'm making sure that from an efficiency standpoint, I'm taking as much as possible from my processes and my infrastructure, my assets. It's not true anymore. We're going to see a world where industries collaborate much more. Again, a platform play. So these are the 3 sort of movements that we see changing the industry. And from a supplier standpoint, from a technology player standpoint, this is how we see the IoT stack. And it's pretty much as Telefónica sees it as well. You have a connectivity layer, you have a platform layer, and you have a use case layer. And we heard this morning, I don't recall who it was, but a discussion around agriculture use cases. And we feel the same. That's why we went into discussions with leading industrial players to understand what are the common requirements that we see across use cases so that we implement them in technology, right? The people that are running the use cases that fill most of the needs, those are the ones that have more insights and most insights really to come up with this sort of the use cases. And that's where we came also when it comes to our the segments that we were addressing. So very quickly, if we take one by one, and I'm sorry, this was taken from a product portfolio presentation, so bear with me a minute, and forget about the dark blue part here, that we will just touch upon them in a bit. If we think about the connectivity, for us, again, it's all about the core networks and the radio part, the core and the radio side of an operator's network. The operators are uniquely positioned, we believe, to deliver these kind of solutions, of connectivity. Of course, we saw that the short-range IoT devices that will be out there outscales substantially the wide range. We believe that we will have, that 5G is the answer to most of the use cases if you want, right? So we will have Wi-Fi, we'll have Zigbee, Bluetooth, whatever, right? It's still going to be there. The radio technology is evolving rapidly to address the needs or the specific requirements of IoT use cases and devices. Long battery life, penetration into buildings, coverage of probably remote sites, I mean, all of this is being addressed with 5G, and today already with narrowband IoT and CAT-M technologies over LTE. That's one. So moving forward, this will be developed even further. But of course, there will be room for low-power wireless access networks like LoRa and Sigfox as well, for instance, right? But all of this, we are working on finding ways how to best integrate all of this technology and how to secure a sort of an overlay of technologies so as to guarantee a 100% uptime on to the devices that we are having on our IoT use case. From a core standpoint, as of today, you would set up and configure a sort of a connection, an end-to-end connection. There is some flexibility into it with the IP technologies and so on. 5G core networks will enable much beyond that. It will enable a provisioning of a network for a specific customer or a specific use case, and in the network of, are we there yet already? Okay, I'm sorry for this. So the point being that it will enable the automatic sort of software-defined provisioning of networks that will adjust to the use case that you have. So if it's a mission-critical use case, probably it will claim more resources, and then of course you need to pay more for that. But otherwise, the cost point to deliver these kind of services is going to be adjusted to the use case that you have at hand. Moving to the IoT platform, again, we can, but don't need to, deliver a full platform coming from the connection management. So how is it that I connect my device? Which device do I have? How do I provision it? Does it have the latest firmware? Is it patched with the latest security patch and so on? How do I collect all the data and abstract it, open it, and sort of module it in a way that I can combine different sources of data and provide more insights than I would otherwise? How do I secure that it's secure, really? How do I integrate it with my enterprise architecture as well, so that it doesn't become another silo on the side of my streamlined processes, right? And of course, a bit of the marketplace and exposure, which has to do with use cases. How do I secure that it doesn't only allow people to do business together in an automated fashion, and we're talking about millions and millions of devices, right? So you will not control each one by itself, but is there a way to implement a digital sort of settlement agreement or condition contract and a settlement mechanism for me to use different kinds of applications and don't bother with it, trust that it's really the kind of agreement that I've secured with my partners, it's really implemented. That's one. How do I secure that any kind of application can be plugged into the platform? And of course, I don't infringe any IPR rules as well. So we've created this company, Avinci, to bring together as a hub, to bring together different technology players and innovation so that they can expose their IPRs, but also people that use it, they know that they have an easy way to find who to pay for the usage of that particular technology, right? And of course, we are in close discussion with the likes of Intel, Qualcomm, and so on, to make sure that we have the latest technology, like lightweight M2M, implemented in the chipsets to enable this kind of automation, right? So last slide, just wanted to make the point that our journey has been very much on the industrialization of IoT. We see that in the connectivity layer, in the platform layer, even in the use case layer, regardless of the fact that it's really up to that particular individual use case. And the way that we have done that is by partnering up with leading operators in the world, of course, leading enterprises in the world in the segments that we operate in. And you cannot see that here, but utilities, automotive, big one, public safety, and the transport systems. And of course, the way that we are engaging with them is through a number of business labs that we have scattered across the world with the technology assets, but also with the competence really to respond rapidly to the requirements that we have and the challenges that we face, but also to capture that and feedback into our technology development, right? And of course, this is part of our baseline work which is playing on the ecosystem base. Yeah. I'm sorry if I took longer than expected, but I get carried on with this. Sorry. Any questions that you have, I'll be happy to discuss them, maybe afterwards. All right, thank you.